Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, June 3rd. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are lower. We're down 0.08%. It's acceptable. You know, it's not a big sell-off. It's just it's modestly weaker, I would call it. I mean, the market's digesting some new hostilities that occurred overnight in the Middle East, alongside these fresh tariff-related comments from the Trump administration. That's kind of shaping the early morning activity. President Trump did state this morning that Iran has agreed to forego nuclear weapons and added that the blockade could potentially be lifted by Labor Day. Oil prices are still elevated, though. Separately, he did say that the Trump administration is looking at new tariffs, 10 to 12.5% on imports from 60 countries, citing concerns related to forced labor practices. His tariffs are coming up, are about to expire, so he's got to replace them with something new, so he's using this one. It's unlikely to hold as well. On the economic front today, we got to be on the watch for this morning. You got the ADP employment report coming out. But I'm really paying more attention to the ISM Services Index that's coming out this morning. And also, in the afternoon, we get the Fed's Beige Book. That could be interesting. In corporate news, Sherwin-Williams and Nippon Steel, they're ending that pursuit of that European paint company. I want to point out that Bank of America Global Tech Conference starts tomorrow. There could be something there. Apple, their WDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, that starts on Monday. That's when the keynote speaker is going on. I'm not expecting anything major coming out of it, but I wouldn't be surprised. But the stock's trading all-time highs, and I can see it continue to run a little hotter into it. But after that conference, weakness could set in. For Apple, the SpaceX. Oh, let's not forget about that SpaceX IPO, because that could happen next week. It could be priced next week. But I saw a story coming out over the tape this morning, saying that they put out a price and a range for it. So the roadshow still has to go on. Corporate calendar today, features shareholders meetings from AppLovin, Lyft, Fastly, Palantir, SAIC. On earnings news, and Ultra Beauty's tearing it up this morning. GameStop is higher, Macy's is higher after their earnings releases. GitLab and Palo Alto Networks also came out with good releases, good reports, but they're trading lower this morning. After the bell today, we got Broadcom, ticker AVGO, we got CrowdStrike, CRWD, we got Viva Systems, VEEV, and Five Below, FIVE, as they're all scheduled to report. Okay, let's take a look over at Europe and see what we see happening. The DAX is down 0.86%. It was down over 1%, so it's come back a little bit, but we still are seeing weaknesses in airlines, autos, banking stocks. The FTSE down 0.28%. It was down 4.4%, so, that's positive. Gains in energies kind of offsetting the weakness in financial, mining, and defense stocks. France, the CAC is down 0.26%. Weaknesses in industrials and aerospace companies. Last night in Asia, Asia was generally higher. I mean, the Nikkei had a big rally. I mean, it was up 2.5%, and it was really the optimism surrounding AI-related opportunities that caused that index to jump. Hong Kong had a big day yesterday, but, last night it actually fell 1.56%. It was kind of like some selling pressure in tech stocks. It's being reported as profit-taking. As Shanghai in China finished higher by 0.22%. And, semiconductors really led that market. It turned into oil. Oil is higher. It's not 2% higher anymore. It's now 1.75% higher. You got WTI at $95.40. You got Brent at $97.69. API data came out late last night, showed indicating the crude oil inventories draw of 6.8 million barrels. Get the EIA data today, about an hour after the market opens. What's causing the oil to move higher? It's really the increase in hostilities between the U.S. and Iran overnight. And, there is no real agreement on tap. I mean, President Trump just kicked the can down the road for 3 months. So we're not going to see anything shortly on that. Okay, let's move on into earnings actions. And, let's talk about GitLab, ticker GTLB. Listen, the stock's trading lower. It's down about 6% this morning. They did beat by 3 cents. They did do it on higher revenue. Okay. Palo Alto Networks, that's PANW, that's also trading weaker. It's down about 3%. Beat by 5 cents on higher revenue. And then there was the big one, the one that's moving this morning is Ulta Beauty, and that's down 2.76%. It was higher, but it has since turned lower. They beat by 83 cents, and they did do it on higher revenue. Upcoming after the bell today, we got Broadcom, ticker AVGO. Their EPS is $2.40. Expected move is 8.99%. CrowdStrike, ticker CRWD. Their EPS is $1.07. Expected move is 10.25%. Five Below, EPS is $1.67. Expected move is 12.77%. Wow, that's a big move. In terms of economic reports hitting the tape this morning, listen, the ADP is hitting at 8:15 a.m. this morning. That's going to be, another, the second employment report for the week. ISM Services Index hits at 10 a.m. Factory orders hit at 10 a.m. EIA inventory report hits at 10:30 a.m. And at 2 p.m. we're going to get the Fed's Beige Book. Fed Governor Michael Barr is speaking at 9 a.m. Dallas Fed Bank President Lori Logan is speaking at 4 p.m. And separately, Kevin Warsh, he's a new Fed chair. It was announced that he appointed 2 outside advisors as he begins his tenure. That's not a big deal, but his choices, for his advisors. Well, one happens to be Paul Winfrey, and that's the guy that wrote the Project 2025 policy blueprint for the Federal Reserve. And then there's Daniel Hale, he's a Stanford professor. He was an advisor to Jeb Bush's 2016 presidential campaign. But these guys are not really economists. They're more public policy than central banking or monetary policy, or have knowledge of financial regulations. So you're putting a square peg in a round hole with these guys. Not a good idea. These guys should not be advisors. That's not their background. But whatever, we'll move on. We're going to talk about stocks in the tape. Apple agrees to submit Indian financials to the antitrust dog as part of its App Store investigation order. Meta Platforms scaling back employee tracking tool. SpaceX IPO priced at $135 per share, targeting a value of $1.75 trillion. That's the biggest IPO I've seen in years. Dow Jones 30 stocks, WWDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, Apple's conference scheduled to begin on Monday. Remember, you run up into the conference, you sell off after the conference. That's what I think's happening here. Microsoft, Mayo Clinic, and Microsoft partner to develop frontier AI models for healthcare. That's positive. We'll see that more of that. In merger news, Sherwin-Williams, ended that pursuit of X-Core Nobel. In terms of guidance news, GitLab raised their full year 2027 EPS view. They're looking for 79 cents to 82 cents, and the street estimate's at 79 cents, so that's an uptick. Palo Alto Networks, PANW, they also adjusted their EPS view. They're looking for $3.77 to $3.79. Street estimate has it at $3.69. That's a nice uptick. Shareholders meetings, AppLovin, Lyft, Fastly, Palantir, Scientific Applications, all having meetings today. Buyback news, GameStop plans $2 billion in buybacks. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about our pick of the day. I'm going to go with GitLab, ticker GTLB. Yeah, the earnings already came out. But the EPS was good, and the stock is now weak. You look at yesterday's call volume, 62,000 calls traded to 38,000 puts. That's kind of positive. The major brokers do like the stock. I look at the weakness today as kind of an opportunity, for the stock, because I do think it has the ability to punch a little higher. Here we're looking at, the stock trading 29.91 to 21.95 to 29.91 to 29.95. Listen, if I can get in at 29.75, I think that would be a winner. So that's my pick of the day. GTLB, Grace Tom, Larry Boy. Okay, let's move on and see what else we have. Okay, we're going to do our segment where we look at headlines hitting the tape over the last 15 minutes or so, see anything hot. NTAP and NetApp and Cisco collaborated a new value validation AI solutions tool. Stripe, Visa, MasterCard to back new stablecoin platform. CBS, Sky, or P-Sky, they fired Scott Pelley, the guy that runs 60 Minutes, because he had he basically called out their new executive producer of 60 Minutes, calling him unqualified, and the guy said, "Oh, I have no other option than to terminate you." Listen, 60 Minutes is kind of over with. I hate to tell you, but it's been a show going on. But when political pressures start to get involved in the media, things change, and the 60 Minutes will probably Scott Pelley will wind up somewhere else. I'm not really worried about him. AXSM, Awesome Therapeutics, announced settlement revolving Sonari patent litigation. Trump acting Attorney General Todd Blanchard will become permanent AG. Novo Nordisk, Novartis, NVO, UAE becomes the first country outside the U.S. to allow access to the Wegovy pill form. In a surprise move ahead of its investors' roadshow, Elon Musk, SpaceX, plans to fix its IPO price at $135 per share to raise a record $75 billion. Trump administration proposes new tariffs of 10 to 12.5% on imports from 60 economies after it determined that they failed to curb goods made with forced labor. A finding described by a senior EU lawmaker as utterly absurd. Trump's asking AI firms to voluntarily submit their models for cybersecurity tests. Meta Platforms, they lost their fight against the EU's labeling of its Messenger app as a powerful gatekeeper, which places obligations on the tech company with significant influence. It's not going to be good for them. Okay, that's all I'm seeing this morning. All right, now we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about yesterday's pick of the day. I like this one. I mean, it was Viva Systems, VEV. Stock opened up at 183.55, sold off to 179.17, and closed out at 182.94. Now, I was thinking 182.50, but, I actually wound up getting in at 181.19, and then it bounced higher to 183.19 in the first, 7 minutes of the trading day, and I walked away. I made my 1%. Thank you. And that 182.50 was a weak price, and you look at the stock this morning, and it's trading 182 to 183. So it is higher than the entry price that I was talking about yesterday. You can call it flat, but I made my 1%, so I was happy. But that's guys, that concludes today's NewsWare's Trade Show podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.